who will be our 7th board member, will be here in a second. If you'll just bear with us, we'll try to start promptly at 2, and I just want to allow everyone an opportunity to get in the room so we don't have any disturbance. Are you about ready? Okay.
Here.
Here.
I'm William Guest. We have a quorum. All members are present. Requires 5 members to vote to affirm a motion. Because we have a 7-member board, it's just a majority. And we have Mr. Anderson here as the attorney for the board. As you come to the podium once again, you can give us your name and address, and then we'll proceed.
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Check your mic.
Try it again. There we go. All right. Did everyone hear me to start with? Somebody else's mic must be picking me up. All right. The first application, which is 5919-5866, New Singular Wireless, has been withdrawn, so that one is pulled from the agenda. We'll go to the next application, which is 6003-5611-5475, Amity Missionary Baptist Church. If you'll come down to the podium, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Pastor Mackey of the Amity Baptist Church, and we've come to ask for an extension on paving our parking lot. We've been working for getting it completed. We have a set of plans now that's in the city that's been revamped to meet the code, and so right now we're asking for an extension. And one of our major problems was we applied for 2 loans from 2 different banks, and it just didn't go through at the time because we were just moving into our church, and so we just didn't have the funds to complete it at this time. But we're still working on it and doing all we can to get it done.
Okay. Any questions of the board for the applicant? Okay. Anyone in the audience in favor of the application? Wish to speak at this time? Anyone in opposition? Okay. The board has approved this in the past, and as you stated, you're asking for a 6-month period for an extension.
Year
Is
if we
that
can.
sufficient?
A year if we can, because we
year.
still got to get the
Typically,
plans
it's 6
from-
months, but I'll leave that to the discretion of the board.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The applicant's asking for a 12-month extension. I suspect to acquire your funding and,
Yes, sir.
okay. All right. Chair, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve, a second. Any further discussion?
Is that 12 months or 6 months?
12 months.
12.
12 months.
Okay. Both the motion and the seconds for a
Yes.
12 month? Okay. All those in favor of the application say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, application 6057, 5646, Alco Signs. And for the board, there is some information from a couple of the, I guess, residents in this area. If you'll look over that as you review the application. Your name and address, sir?
Randall Peak with Alco Signs, 11085 Douglas Road, Grand Bay, Alabama.
Okay, this application is recommended for denial. Will you tell us why we think we should consider otherwise?
What was that?
I said the application by staff is recommended for denial. Can you tell us why we should consider the variance?
Well, the customer that's moving in utilizes this in his other locations as a vital part of his advertising and being able to reach out to the community. The digital has been a part of his program for a couple of years, and he was wanting to extend it here on the Airport Boulevard location.
Okay. Any questions of the board for the applicant's rep? Okay, you have something to add?
This is the owner.
This is the
He
owner.
just-
Yes, sir. We've,
Your name and address, please.
Corey Forrest, 10051 Hall Road, Grand Bay, Alabama. Like Mr. Randy said, we've done this numerous times and been successful with our sign. We find that the business thrives better with it. It's in no vision of any residential home, nothing, nowhere near anybody's home. There's several on the street as well. We were just hoping maybe we can
Okay,
be part of it.
then may I ask, your other properties, do they have, you said they have digital signs?
Yes, sir.
Are they within 300 feet of a residence?
Yes, sir. The one is, one in Pascagoula, Mississippi is, but
Okay,
there
I'm
is.
talking about within Mobile.
Oh, no, sir. No,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. Any questions for the owner? All right, you have something to add,
I
ma'am?
do, and the sign where it's going.
Your name and
I'm
address
sorry,
as well.
I'm sorry. I'm Julie Courtney. I'm the owner of Alco Signs, and I'm 11085 Douglas Road, Grand Bay. The actual, where the sign is going, the buildings are actually blocking the view of any residential homes of where the sign is going. They cannot be seen. You cannot see that sign from any residentials of where that sign's going. And we asked the board that y'all would approve this because this is vital to his business to bringing into his business where it's going.
Okay. Once again, for the board, any questions? What is the actual distance of the property to the residence? Bert?
I'm sorry.
Direct my question to Bert.
I think when we measured it, the sign would be about in this location, and I think it's 144 feet approximately to this property line. And as the lady just said, the building here will block the residences here from seeing the sign.
Okay.
I would also like to point out that the existing pole that they may wish to reuse may not be sufficient to hold the sign, and they may have to put up a new pole that meets current building code requirements.
So you're intending on putting it on a pole, not on the building?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, sir, and we're going to be putting a brand-new pole up, too, so.
Okay, which way will the sign actually face then? Will it face like east-west,
Yes.
airport?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it will.
And the height?
The height from the bottom of the sign to the ground is 10 feet. Height from the top of the sign to the ground is 13 feet. It's a 3x8 sign.
What's the height of the building?
I have no idea on that.
It's on here. Corey?
It's right at 18 feet.
Okay, so the profile of the sign is less than the profile of the building?
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Once again, board, any questions for the applicant? All right, anyone in the audience in favor of the application wishes to speak? You can have a seat for the moment, please.
Thank you.
Anyone who wishes to speak in opposition that's here today? Okay. One at a time, if you'll come down and give us your name and address.
Good afternoon. My name is Steve Hand. My address is 64 Kingsway in Mobile. And I'm here because of the property that I own just east of this site, 301, 303, 305 307 Glenwood and 2059 Airport Boulevard. It's basically the corner piece to the east, those 4 lots, and the residential piece at 311 Mohawk Street. We've had our family business at this site for over 20 years, and we've been very successful there. We tried to preserve the historic character of the Loop, although it's kind of cut up a bit, but we've been very successful there. There's a steakhouse there that's been very successful. And we're just concerned with the light trespass that we have, and then just the character of the area in general that we're concerned about. We would just simply request that the board follow the staff's recommendations for denial. And again, we want to be neighborly, and the Ward family had a business there for several years and did very well, and they didn't have to have a digital sign. And currently the building that we're talking about has block letters on it, probably 18-inch block letters, I don't know, but I think that I want them to be successful, and I want to be neighborly, but we just don't think that that's appropriate in that part of town, in the historic Loop area. So once again, gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Okay, for a second, any
Any
questions?
questions? Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am?
I'm Chris Enzer. My address is 2305 Government Street. I've been a resident of the city of Mobile for over 30 years and a member of the Loop Community Action Group for the last 17. I submitted a letter earlier today, which I hope all of you have seen. I have several points. I agree with Mr. Hand in that we want to be good neighbors, but we also think that there are things that are reflective of our Loop area and things that are not. And I would say that the digital sign at that particular place is not appropriate. Several things, the physical location and the discussion about the size of the pole. There is an existing pole there. It's a 4x8 sign, and it is within 125 feet of a very complicated intersection. As you can all see, Glenwood, you come out at a traffic light and you loop across to go to Glenwood on the north side of Airport. The Ruth Chris Steakhouse, yes, is right down that road, and there are always people going back and forth across there. It's hard to walk across. You already have to be sure that motorists are paying attention. And if you have one more great distraction like a digital sign. And the other thing that I have as a point is I heard 3x7 again, and I swear when you read that drawing there, it looks like it's a 4x9 foot sign to me. 2 panels, one 4x4 and the other 4x5 and 5 foot 4 inches. So I am proposing to take the staff's recommendation for denial, and I agree that we want the business to be successful, and I'm certainly going to get lots of traffic just by being on that great corner at Airport.
Okay, any questions? All right, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak in opposition at this time?
Ashley Dukes. I'm president of the Midtown Movement. It's a nonprofit focused on Midtown. And I don't want to repeat what anybody else has said, but I agree with the previous speakers who spoke against the digital sign. We're grateful for the investment that they're making in this building, but the wall sign referred to earlier by Mr. Hand and also in the staff report is essentially the entire frontage on Airport Boulevard and is more signage than any other business in the area currently has. And it is less than 150 feet from residential property, but it would also be highly visible to those that are greater than 150 or 300 feet, those that live down Glenwood, Mohawk, Crenshaw, hundreds of homes in that area. So.
Okay,
Thank
before you
you.
sit down, let's
Yeah.
get your address for the record, please.
1855 Dolphin Street.
Okay, any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in opposition? Okay, I think that'll conclude that portion of the application review. Questions of the board, once again? Discussion?
Move to deny.
Second.
I have a motion to deny. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you all. All right, application 6058, PHX Investments Group.
Hello, my name's Fred Height with Height Land Surveying. We was wanting to see about
Sir,
asking.
your address, please.
2311 Carrington Drive, 36695.
Okay, your application, just so I'm clear on this, is also recommended for denial. You want to tell us
Correct.
why we should consider otherwise?
Yes, sir. I passed some handouts of a map
Yes, we
showing
have
the
that.
zoning. Yes, sir. It was originally, Sussex Place was originally approved as luxury townhomes in October of 1978, then rezoned R3 in March of 1979. There's three existing duplexes, 2 5-plexes and a 4-plex at the east end of the street. And we have a R3 just west of us that are 7 4-plex buildings, and that's Bradford Place Townhomes. And we have 2 additional R3s north of us on East Drive. And the characteristics of the neighborhood seems to gel well with the R3s and the R1s and the R2s. And this property is the last in this subdivision. They have 2 adjoining lots that could be made into one. The rest are all single lots. And so this, if approved, would be the last, say, triplex in the neighborhood. And we'd like to ask for the substandard lot. The R3 requires 9,500 square feet, and we're at 9,130 square feet, which is only 370 too small. And that's only 3 feet wider by the length of the lot. And we'd like to ask for that to be approved, if possible.
I have a question for
Yes, sir.
clarification. And maybe the staff. You said in 78 it was rezoned to a 3?
March of 79 to R3. And then in 2002, they reverted it back to a R2.
Okay, so it's an R2 currently?
It's R2 correct now.
Yeah.
But we'd like to ask that we be, go back to the R3 just for this, because the triplex would fit on this lot. And if you divided it into 3 single lots, the house would only be 19 feet wide if we did 3 individual lots.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, sir, you have something? Oh, wait, excuse me, Mr. Milling?
In the narrative, it talks about that y'all recently subdivided 2 lots. We're gonna do a 2-family residence on one and then this single
We'll do a
family.
triplex, a twoplex and a single,
And that was when?
last month.
Okay. And-
But we were still, would have been more of a substandard lot then. The triplex would have been even more of a substandard lot. It'd been even smaller. So this way, we made the lot it's bigger, and we're only 370 square feet too small to meet the minimums.
I guess my question is that from reading this narrative, it seemed like y'all had a plan that you were going forward with. And it
Right.
just seemed pretty quick to me to turn around and come to request a variance. What changed?
I think.
Well, the reason,
Yeah, you got to give your name and address.
Demetrius Moore, and I represent the company. And the reason why we kind of changed and say, okay, let's try this way, because if we go this way, I drew a blank. The reason why we changed it because if we combine the lots, then the single-family house won't have to be so narrow, and then we can make we could combine it into one lot, and then I think the other way we was gonna do with the duplex, the lots would have been about 1,000 square foot too small, and if we go and put a triplex on a lot, it's only like 300 feet too small, and we figured that'd be a whole lot better to be a lot closer to the minimum setbacks.
I guess it's interesting to me. I mean, that's something y'all figured out after you got it or went in for the rezoning?
Right, because at the
Or
planning
the
commission, that was brought up about being a substandard lot. And we figured this would be it's still substandard, but all the lots in there are substandard because of the way they were laid out originally. But this would be less of a substandard lot than it was before. We figured that'd be more aesthetic to the neighborhood, trying to keep it a bigger lot.
And I guess currently, from 60, 68, 60, 48, 60, 40, and 60, 36, those are all single-family residential.
Yes, yes. The duplexes are only at the east end. There's 2 5-plexes and a 4-plex.
And we talk about, approximately 100 feet away.
Yeah, only 3 lots farther to the east is the first 4-plex of the 2 5-plexes. And then we have just there to the west is 7 4-plexes in Bradford Townhome Estates, which is also R3. And there's room for 5 more 4-plexes in that neighborhood also.
Any other questions? I have a question, possibly a couple. The drawing shows that this is a 2-story with a total of how many rooms? 9?
4 bedrooms, 3 baths.
Per unit.
Yes.
So there'd be 12 total rooms. How many rooms in total? Bedrooms?
2, 3, 4. About 12 rooms.
12 rooms. How many parking spaces do you have allocated
2.
per unit, right?
Yes.
So you've got 12 bedrooms, but 2 parking spots per, so you're about half of what? If you had every room occupied by, let's say, a
They're
student.
for sale, we're not renting. We're selling the houses.
You're
and
selling them?
Yes.
Okay.
But the parking are long, wide and long. You could fit 4 cars back there and be within that concrete pad.
The reason why I asked, the majority of these in this area are going for college students. So, and everyone drives a car. So I can assure you that.
Yes, sir.
So you would need, if you got 12 units, you're going to need 12 parking spots, just based on the way it works out.
Well, not
12
necessarily.
rooms.
We're selling them to, we're marketing to selling to families.
Yeah, and families buy them for their students to go to school. That's
Right.
the reason why I say that.
Right.
I got it. My dad never was that nice for me.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
He never was.
All right. Anyone else in the audience that wish to speak in favor of this application? Okay. You'll have a seat. Anyone in
sir.
opposition?
Thank you.
Okay, we'll allow 4 and pick somebody to start and we'll go in order.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have a quick question for staff.
Yeah. While they're coming down, Mr. Metcalf, please.
I'm sorry?
I said, please proceed.
Yeah. I noticed on the site plan that they're not
ahead, come
depicting
down, sir.
the parking spaces. Did they not do it, or did it just not make it to the site plan?
Sir, you can't answer from
It's
the back.
behind, if you look at the site plan, the parking is back here, off of the common access way to
Well,
the
I know,
rear.
but it's not indicating spaces, and generally, we would look at actual spaces.
For commercial apartment complex.
Well, that's what I'm used to.
Right.
Single family.
Okay. Have you determined, looked at it, what do you think that, based upon typical parking, that they could get in each of those slots?
I don't think we looked at the parking space and measured the size to see if there was enough room back there to double stack cars. So we have not verified if they could fit 2 or 4 cars on that parking pad behind each unit.
Right. Well, I agree with the chairman. That's could be a real issue. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, sir, your name and address?
My name is Drew Heyer. I live at 6053 Sussex, which is directly across the street from this property.
Okay.
One of the questions is, there's some question whether it was ever R3, but that's something your staff will have to look up. I'm not sure that's a fact. But in the, I don't know if you can pull it up, in this zoning colored map that he pulled up, that's it. I was surprised that it's R2 because they're all single-family dwellings in here. They're owned, there is the joined units down the street, but they're still, the property and the house is an individual unit, joined together. There's no R2, there's no 2 residents on a single lot. In my subdivision, in the R2 subdivision south of me, and the R2 subdivision southwest of me, there are no R2 duplexes. There's conjoined 0 lot line buildings, but they are all owned, single house on a single lot owned by that person. Does that make sense? So when he says that there's duplexes and quads down the street, there's still privately owned lots underneath each one of those. I don't know the legal terms, whether those are condos or whether those are duplexes, but there's no 2 residents that live on a single lot in our neighborhood, even though it is R2, so that's a struggle there. But there's no R2, but it's legally zoned R2, but there's definitely no R3. So I don't see this fitting at all. He's right about that this is the only lots left. There's like 4 lots left in my subdivision, which is that top yellow section. And we bought a house here 5 years ago. There's been 4 houses built in the last 5 years. There's 4 more lots left. In the subdivision south of us, there was like 6 lots left 5 years ago. They've all been built as single-family residences. I was just shocked that this is an R2 because it doesn't look like an R2. It looks like single-family home. And there is, everybody has struggled with parking because the lot lines are small. The parking in the rear is small. It's hard to get 2 cars in the back, maybe 1 in the front. We're actually using these empty lots, parking spaces, for overflow when we know when they're built on, we're going to struggle finding a place to park already, just as residents, let alone because everybody's got a car today, and so there's 2 or 3 cars per house. A lot of these houses just east of them that they're saying they can park 4 cars in, most of them are parking a single car. They're not even getting 2 cars in there. Nobody's really using 2 cars in there. They're mostly single people with young kids or something. They have 80 foot of frontage. I have a 40-foot lot with a 30-foot house and a 10-foot side yard. The 5 lots due east of this property has 25 to 30-foot houses with 8 to 10-foot side yards on them that they built a little brick courtyard in, so they've closed it in. All of these lots were basically, I thought, meant to be 0 lot line on the west lot line with at least 5 to 10 feet, 5 feet minimum, on the east side as a courtyard or a side yard. That's the way they're all built. They're all filling in like that. I was shocked to hear a duplex or a triplex coming across the street when they're all single-family homes, families, people that own them. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, any questions for the resident? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Name and address.
Dale Smith. I'm 6036 Sussex Drive. I'm just east of the property in question here. I have 2 issues with this. The first issue is that with any subdivision, as he said, at the front of the subdivision or at the east end of that subdivision, there are conjoined buildings. And over the years, the improvement, as we all wish our subdivisions would have headed toward the back of the subdivision. From my house to the back of the subdivision, those are single-family dwellings with no shared walls, okay? And we would hope that that would continue as the value of our property, we would hope would continue to rise. The one thing I'm concerned, and you brought the issue up yourself, is that the planning is not like the current buildings in there that is being shown in the plans, because I have the same one. There is no carport being shown on the back of those dwellings. Every house in that subdivision has a carport to be parked underneath, okay, which is just a characteristic of that neighborhood. And we would hope that that would be maintained also. If the gentleman says that there's been a substandard as far as measurement of lots in that subdivision, I don't want to correct it with him building a triplex in my subdivision, okay? If he wants to build the duplex, or if he just wants to build the 2 conjoined buildings, then that's fine, and he has lost out on that 3rd lot, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you. Ms. Rich?
Good afternoon, Bess Rich, 625 Cumberland Road East, and I am the representative for the residents and for the applicant. This is in District 6. As a planning commissioner recently, this did come before the Planning Commission, and I struggled with it because of the change in character. The staff is recommending denial of this. As a planning commissioner, I was told it was going to be a duplex, and even that would take a Board of Adjustment approval for a variance. We have a new parking code for R3, near the University of South Alabama, and that involves one parking space per bedroom unit because of the need of having students each having their own car, and oftentimes people rent by the bedroom. So that was put on the books in 2015. It's relatively new. Certainly hope that it will make for much better developments in the R3 and R2 classifications near the university. The staff gave you 3 reasons why it was recommended for denial, and I hope that you will give that great consideration. Again, if you look at the development today, it does abut Center Drive. I checked with our engineer, Nick Amberger, Director of Engineering, and he said he didn't see where that street could really ever serve. It comes to a dead end there. They don't have a proper cul-de-sac. But they do not use that street for the most part. Maybe their visitors park there. They use the alleyway to get in and out of their properties. And so I don't see where that triplex or whatever it's called fits the development, completely out of character, and would not be in the public's best interest. And again, the staff recommends denial. I hope you also agree. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Rich? Okay, thank you. Someone else? No, yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Chairman and board members. My name is Mary Devereaux. I didn't plan to speak today. I live at 6004 Sussex, and I've lived there 28 years in the townhouses. They were the first townhouses built in Mobile, and when the developer wanted to build them, people were afraid it would become transient apartment-style living. So they had to go to Montgomery to get permission to build those townhouses, and the compromise was an R3, even though we are not R3 rules. We found that out when we had a developer who wanted to build that lower row, Magnolia Place. Developer wanted to come in and put 400 apartments with 325 parking spaces back at the beginning of 2001, and we went and voiced our opinion that we welcome development, but we want it in keeping with our neighborhood. And so the zoning board voted in our favor after a few meetings. We went back to the planning commission and got help to get the R2 designation in 2002. So I wanted to clear that up. Also, with owning a townhouse, I do own my property, including the land below it. It is a single-family home. And I've talked to a number of my members. We're a lot of working people, so it's hard for us. Like, I just happen to be off today. It's hard for us to come to the meetings. I wanted to let you know that we agree with the board's recommendation, or the planning committee's recommendation, to deny this, to help us keep our neighborhood in the atmosphere that it is. When we went through planning, 2001, 2002, I sent an email. The president of the board at that time felt that ours was a good transition going from business R3 to R2 below the Jehovah's and the mosque down into R1 at Ridgefield, and that preserves the area as well, keeping with that environment. So once again, I want to say I support the denial of this measure, and thank you if you can help us keep our neighborhood intact.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the resident? Okay. I think that'll conclude our time for comments. Any questions of the board, discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the applicant wanting to do this, understand it, but I think it's a situation where they're trying to pour 20 gallons of paint in a 5-gallon bucket. And I don't think he's demonstrated any hardship, and I do think that it would be detrimental to the neighborhood, with parking being one of the major concerns. With that being said, I recommend a move to deny the application.
Okay, I have a motion to deny. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you all for coming today. All right, application 6058. forgive me if I mispronounce the name, Liz Garza, 119 Dolphin Street. All right, we'll skip that one. Maybe the applicant is running late. We'll go to the next application, 6060 55 50, excuse me? Okay, no, thank you. Do we have the applicant
We've
here?
got two representatives from downtown Alliance here. The applicant's not here, but she thought, there's some parents miscommunication. She thought she didn't come. The representatives of downtown Alliance can speak on her behalf. If that's okay?
Do we have a representative for the applicant, though?
I guess not.
So in tradition, we don't normally hear the application. Okay, we'll hold this for the moment, okay? Back to application 6060, 5557, 5415, Ryko Signs.
Hello, Wade Wright, Ryko Signs, 3345 Halls Mill Road.
Okay, and this application is recommended for approval. Have you, for your customer, reviewed it? Is your customer
Yes.
in agreement?
Basically, it's a payment kiosk, and being down in a hole like they are, just need visibility on both sides so people know what it is.
It appears to be almost like a ATM type
Correct.
facility.
So instead of
Freestanding.
getting money, you leave money.
Okay, yeah, you leave money instead of taking it.
Right.
Okay, any questions of the board for the applicant's rep? Okay, yes, Mr. Golden?
Yeah, east and west side. And really what this one's for is people in the parking lot. The sign was originally going to be just coming in off Forest Hills. If you're in the parking lot or come in by Moffett, there's nothing identifying it.
Okay, any further questions?
Where is it on the site plan?
Oh, it looks like it's over here.
Oh, okay, I see, right on, behind the reservoir.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I see it, I was looking further out towards my.
Okay, anyone else in favor of the application? Anyone in opposition? Okay, staff recommends for approval. Chair, entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, we'll go to application 6061. And I'll mispronounce this one as well. College On Associates. Okay, and your name and address, even though we see you on a monthly basis?
Okay.
Yeah, staff knows it by heart.
Yeah, Jerry Bird, Bird Surveying Company, 2609 Halls Mill Road,
And
for
as
the
you-
applicant.
As you see, this one's recommended for denial as well. You want to tell
Oh,
us?
yeah.
Okay.
We got recommended, and well, we got denied at the rezoning.
Oh, yeah. All right, if you'll proceed.
Okay, well, yeah, we get that in just a minute. Yes, applicant would like to locate or construct a new building with a service office in front, service department in the back. The display area for the cars would be meeting city standards. The site would be well lit according to city standards. Site would have sidewalks according to city standards. I'm saying that because at the denial, the opposition in the neighborhood has been there's pedestrians out on the street We have no sidewalks in that area. This would be a start. It's also a very dark area at night. The lights on the parking lot would certainly help that. I thought at the Planning Commission meeting, there was a real concern about, okay, if we zone that property, it'll be zoned forever. And that's what they were mostly concerned about. With the Board of Adjustment, as you know, it'll be business specific, or else they're going to have to come back before this board and ask for a different use. The site plan that I passed around, black dot, black square is the site. And the staff report mentions mostly everything around. Of course, to the west, going toward Highway 90, there's a 25-foot strip of R1 property between the edge of the road and the railroad. That's a totally useless piece of property. Then a 100-foot railroad right-of-way, which is a commercial property. It's privately owned, it's commercial. And then all of the red is B3, the blue is B5, and then, of course, the rural agricultural and the R3 development, and then, of course, the I-1 development that you're so familiar with. South of our property, the applicant that owns this also owns 9.5 acres, which is zoned R1 immediately adjoining them, and that adjoins about a 10-acre tract of B3. That's this red right here. It corners on Perry Road and Bellingraph Road. The staff report also mentions the map for Mobile neighborhood, suburban neighborhood corridor. It does emphasize connectivity to surrounding neighborhoods, and suburban neighborhood classification generally puts emphasis on residential as opposed to commercial, but it does, in fact, recognize that there would be commercial uses within that. All in all, I don't think that this development on that corner would hurt anything. The real hardship this man has is when that area of Theodore came into the city in 2008, this property, as well as the 9.6 acres, was improperly zoned because there were buildings shown on aerial photograph and also mentioned in rezoning staff reports. They were there. There's a slab 30, 40 feet south of our property line that was a convenience store at that point in time. This man was familiar with this property. He knew that there was a business there, and he didn't worry about it. He also didn't realize that there would be such a problem being zoned to put auto sales there. Kind of a twofold. One, I guess, a self-imposed hardship, not understanding, not checking out what it takes to rezone a piece of property or what it gets. But the one, the property could have been zoned properly because the business was there when in 2008. But like I say, the real use at this point in time, sales, quiet type, yes, there'll be a car lot there, there'll be cars sitting on it, but it's not like an auto body shop. The service department will be to tune them up or do whatever they need to do to make sure that they run when they drive them off the lot, I guess.
Okay, any questions for the applicant's rep?
Yeah, Mr.
Mr. Mako.
Jerry, on the aerial photograph, behind, I guess that'd be to the southeast, coming down Hamilton Boulevard, Cary Hamilton, it looks like directly behind this property, there's a house, and there's houses all the way down, it looks like. But on the city, on this, all right, okay, go to the one showing your zoning. Okay, there, it says vacant land, vacant land, vacant, 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 vacant.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing on the aerial, and I should have visited the site, but I'm seeing on the aerial, it looks like dwellings all along there.
Well, there are houses underneath some of the vacant labels, but there is also some vacant land.
Okay, but there are occupied houses. Is there one directly behind this piece of property?
If it says vacant, that means it's a vacant house based on a staff visit to the site.
But it says vacant land, so that's probably wrong.
Well,
Some say vacant land, some say vacant. Vacant means a house.
Right.
Occupied.
Right.
Vacant land means no structure.
and it may be that the structure that we see on this aerial photo has since been removed. And that's why when staff goes out to do the land use for these reports, they update what they have in terms of the GIS layer
Okay.
houses.
Are there occupied houses between there and where the road turns?
It does appear that there is one.
One. Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions?
And that's the sixth house down.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak in favor of the application? Okay, in opposition? We'll do 4 again as we have before, previously. Take your time, sir. How you doing? Your name and address?
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Walker, and I live in Fiddle at 7099 Old Military Road. And I'm in opposition of not the business, but my opposition is because we as a neighborhood, and I think that we should stay a neighborhood. When the thing they're speaking of about the grocery store, that was my first job at that old grocery store, Willard Store. And that was the post office. And that was Mr. Willard home. And on Carey Hamilton, that was a rental home that Mr. Willard owned. And to the south, east, the east there was some rental home that owned by Carey Hamilton and C.H. Jackson. I'm going back years ago. And so I'm very familiar with this area. And when they applied for the last time, the owner said that he would be an upscale home in the area beside the car lot. Now he gonna put upscale home with a car lot in the front with a garage to service the cars because they used cars, not new car, used car, they have to sometimes change oil, do a little work to them to make sure they be ready for sale. Now, coming into the neighborhood, he also said he would sign an agreement that nothing would come in there if we allow this to come out of our neighborhood. But why would you allow this to come in your neighborhood now? If he sells his property, then he can, the property owner don't have to live up to no agreement that he made with us as a community. I think that we should keep a neighborhood. All our neighborhood is being come in with other type of business want to come in, and with the various, if they change, there's other things they can bring in. Service station, adult bookstores, that's many other things that we read online that they're rezoning. So we asking, would you deny this into the neighborhood and let's continue a resident in the neighborhood. I'm approximately, from the site, I'm approximately maybe 300 feet from my residence to the property. And there's some other property on Kerry Hamilton that are family owned. They may want to come back home and build homes on it, but it be rezoned. So we got to look at everything and look at the neighborhood. The neighborhood said no, and they asked some of us to come and speak in their behalf because they are working. And I hope and I pray that you all would listen to this citizen and deny this request. Thank you.
I have two questions for you.
Yes, sir.
How long has it been since there was actually a business on that property?
15 or 20 years.
Has anybody lived there, though, as far as a residence in the last 15, 20 years?
On Kerry Hamilton, Peavy.
Where this particular location is?
Oh, okay. That was that was people living on Kerry Hamilton. There was about 6 homes there up until about 5 years ago. Now it's just 1 home there.
Is it occupied?
It's occupied.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if the gentleman understands. He made several references to rezoning of the property. You know that the applicant is not asking for a rezoning of this property. That's what he tried last time at the Planning Commission. This is a use variance. This is not zoning.
Oh, okay, you want use?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but I think what you are assuming by what you said is that if he does this, then he sells it and anyone else can come in there and do whatever they want to and put an adult bookstore. Well, the fact is he's asking for a variance, which is only for his particular use. If his use goes away for more than 6 months, then anyone else that would come in there and want to put any kind of business would have to do this process over again. So nothing could go on there except for that proposed use with the car lot.
Well,
I just want to clarify.
Actually, Mr. Metcalf, if he begins the car lot use of the property, if he actually starts that, then he can, even if he goes out of the business, the variance will still remain in effect because it has been initiated, so that any future owner of the property would be allowed to operate a used car lot.
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean, the used car lot.
Yes.
But it has to be a continuous use.
No. Once it is started, once he actually builds the building and gets his business license, it triggers the variance. Even if he goes out of business, the variance still continues into the rest of the property's life, so that, 2 or 3 years later, someone could buy the property, they would be able to sell cars there as well, but
Okay.
nothing else.
Okay, but you do understand that he's not trying to rezone the property.
Well, we content that we don't want no changes from resident, but leave it as is. We think it should stay a resident property.
Yeah, I hear you. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yes, we want it to stay as a resident property.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Burris, did you have a question or comment?
Well, I got a comment, but not a question from him. Should I hold it or go down?
Hey, please, proceed.
Well, I've only been on this board a short period of time, maybe 6 months. And I take consideration, real serious consideration, on granting variances in R1 districts. And I've noticed that predominantly, I don't believe I've seen one, but I can't say emphatically, that the staff themselves seem to take as sacrosanct when they grant variances to businesses in an R1 neighborhood.
Mr. Burrows, could you use your microphone, please?
Please make sure the button's on. There you go.
What I was saying, Mr. Hoffman, is that since I've been on the board, I think that I've voted consistently, and I try to vote consistently. It is pretty hard for me to vote against the recommendations of the board in the first place, or the staff. And the staff seems to me, whenever there's a request for a variance in an R1 neighborhood, they are quite a bit apprehensive in granting those variances. And you change the characteristic of the R1 neighborhood, it's no doubt in my mind, I'm not a lawyer. And even I know that once you grant a variance to that car dealership, which is zone B3, into an R1 neighborhood, then you set a precedent for anyone following him to move another business in there. My own community has been a subject of one of these same practices. Prior to the existing administration, the last two administrations. In other words, the federal government granted all of Texas Street area and blocked it up in the city R1 blocks to be sold to citizens. Mobile, the city of Mobile bought off on it, and HUD required them to zone it R1. Well, everybody, I was president of the community organization down there for years. Everyone bought lots and built houses. I was one of them because I grew up in that neighborhood. I didn't have to live down there. I done it because I wanted to live in downtown Mobile. It was all zoned R1. One big, and I won't call names, one big apartment builder in this city decided that he was going to come down here and ask for a permit to build multifamily housing right across the street from people that had built 50 houses in the past 2 years, under a code that was R1. They issued an illegal permit because he was going from R1 to R2. When we challenged the illegal permit, they went into executive session and rezoned it R2. And right now, that neighborhood is flooded with tens of thousands of apartment complexes in it right now. And I like to praise the staff because based on what I've seen, they seem to take seriously when they when they're granting variances to businesses and trying to change the characteristics of R1 neighborhoods. Because R1 neighborhoods, to me, are sacrosanct. You just don't take an R1 neighborhood and start sticking used car dealerships in the middle of it, then throwing apartment complexes in the middle of it. And to this day, I got a nasty taste in my mouth from this city government, which is nobody in present government now, so I'm not indicting anybody now. This has been 25 years ago. That they actually went into the executive session to defeat our lawsuit and rezone it. And I guess I've stated where I'm at. I'm through, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Burrows. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
All right, we have others in the audience. We appreciate you coming down. Good afternoon. Your name and address.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Walker. I'm the wife of Robert. We're community activists and have been for at least 45 years. We always stand in favor of our community. And presently, I'm Mary Walker. I live 7099 Old Military Road in Theodore, Alabama. We are in the city of Mobile since 2008. We've been here before for the same company. The same man that owned this property on Peavy Road, he owns some property on Washington Boulevard, and he's just letting it go. A couple of lots, or maybe 3 lots, but he's not seeking any zoning for that. But you stated that you didn't want to rezone, but it reads on the under the case number, use variance to allow a used automobile dealership in a R1 single-family residential district. The zoning ordinance requires a minimum of B3 community business district for the use of automobile dealership. In my mind, if I read that correctly, it states that you want to rezone it from R1 to, or either change the variance, and variance has so many attributes to it. You don't have to stick by a certain code or a certain guideline, if I looked up correctly. My main concern is if you put a car lot there, they have to bring in the cars. And when I pass those big trucks hauling cars on the road, it takes up a lot of space. That's a very little curve on Rock Road to come in. You got to go across the railroad track. Then it's like a little service road where he'll be located. It's away from the public. If you advertise with a sign, nobody on Highway 90 going to see it except the residents that live in my neighborhood. So maybe the sign would go on Bellingraph, or it would go out on Highway 90. But it's back over the railroad track. And to me, it doesn't even make sense to put a car lot with a garage and then build upscale homes. This is what he stated. Upscale, to me, upscale homes mean homes of more than $150,000 or better. Who would want to live right next door to where they have a garage, changing oil and changing tires and putting in brakes and all that, those things? It would be really environmentally a problem, because all the things on a car, when it get old, it become environmentally detrimental to your health. So the traffic would be a factor. Big trucks coming in, and then you coming to buy cars and going out. Then you have Hankin Middle School across 90 where children live on there. Burroughs Elementary School is in that same area. But this is like a little service road, Peavy. And it goes to Bellingraph. Both of them is across the railroad track. There is no visual from the Highway 90 where people can see it. So it does not make sense. It's like a ploy to change our neighborhood into some dumping ground of just having business or whatever. I feel personally, and the neighbors and all of the citizens do feel, that if you're going to build affordable homes, why not just build the homes and forget about the car lot?
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you again for coming down. Anyone else in the audience have anything to add? Yes, sir. Your name and address, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Ron McCants, and I pastor the First United Methodist Church at 5451 Washington Boulevard in Theodore, Alabama. Not too far from where this business would like to locate this particular facility. We met with a gentleman who represents this proposed business in a community meeting, and there were a large number of people who attended that meeting. He presented to us some of his ideas, and the community presented to him our concerns. Before the end of that meeting, there was a vote that was taken, and those present at that meeting, they voted unanimously against the location of this business at this location. And another major concern is what products are going to be stored in that building that they are proposing to build on this site. They want to build an office, they want to also build some type of garage, and they want to store petroleum chemicals, brake fluid, transmission fluids. Those items become a major concern because of its strategic location, not too far from a large apartment complex. We have an elementary school where students are passing by that area every day, more than once. We note that those particular petroleum chemicals poses health risk. For example, the Centers for Disease Control, they said that these type hydraulic fluids, when they are breathed, when you just breathe them, those fumes in the air, or even as the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, would say, if these petroleum chemicals are leaked on the ground, they have a tendency to be washed further inland by water, by rainwater, could cause neurological effects on the human body. It could cause respiratory distress of the body. It could cause muscle deterioration, and it could even cause death over a prolonged period of time. So based on information from the CDC as well as the EPA, and looking at the demographics of the area, and the community's concern for the health of children and the elderly people, we request that you deny this application. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Mr. Millings has departed, so I'll hold off on calling for a motion until he returns. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak at this time? I think we have room for a fourth. Okay, everyone's provided their input. The reason why I hold off is with 7 members, it's best to have all 7 present on the motion if possible. Any questions of the board for the representatives who have been here so far, or the applicant? No. Okay. And with Mr. Millings' return, that's all right. Okay, Chair will entertain a motion then.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Burrows?
Did you ask for a motion?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I would like the honor of joining the staff's recommendations in denying this application.
Okay, have a motion to deny. Have a second? Yes. Have a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you all for coming today. All right, we'll go back to application 6058, and the applicant has not arrived yet.
No,
correct?
sir. There was, apparently the applicant thought since it was recommended for approval, she didn't need to be here. Just miscommunication. No legal requirement that she be here. That's y'all's policy. And I'll let y'all decide whether y'all want to proceed or not. It's recommended for approval. 2 representatives, Elizabeth and Fred, are here from the Downtown Alliance. This is a sign request on Dolphin Street downtown within the Alliance District. I'll let y'all decide if y'all want to proceed without the applicant.
Okay, well, before we do so, we have anyone that wishes to speak in opposition that's here? Any of you folks in the audience? Okay. I don't want to vote on a motion with maybe not having the opportunity. Okay. It has been the practice of this board not to vote or have a motion on a application in the absence of the applicant unless somebody wishes to speak on their behalf. We've had that before.
Yes, sir. My name is Elizabeth Stevens, 261 Dolphin Street, and we worked with and helped the applicant with the application, and I'm And she, since she had the positive, I think, we told her we would be here to speak in favor of it. So if you would indulge that, we'd be happy to.
Okay. Any questions for the Downtown Development Group? Sir, do you have anything to add? The only concern I have is that there is conditions, and I hope that obviously, these are all things that the applicant would be subject to. Architectural review, board approval, sign permit, full compliance with all municipal codes.
Yes, sir.
Which are all standard.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions of the board?
I have one question.
Mr. Miller?
Elizabeth, what do you think the ARB, I mean, you don't foresee any issues?
Court did not express that at the meeting when we reviewed it. I think everybody understood that it's a special upper facade, very non-traditional, certainly not what most of the street looks like, and this is a way to kind of bring the human scale back to that big mass of blankness. So court did not express that there would be a concern.
Thanks.
Okay, any further questions?
But they generally leave that, the ARB reviews it after
Yeah.
the CRC.
Yeah.
Okay. Sir, you have anything to add? No, sir. Okay. Staff recommends for approval, and with you standing in for the applicant, I'm willing to move on with consideration of motion. Any further discussion?
Motion
Chair
to
entertain a
approve.
motion. I have a motion to approve. Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Anyone in opposition? Okay, motion carries. All right, thank you all. Any other business today before we adjourn? Okay, I've talked to each of the board members and asked that maybe we have some point in the future, a kind of a workshop, kind of go over the process of the board and just kind of a refresher is the best way to put it.
And Mr. Olson did send back an email while we were sitting here. What would be y'all's preference? What day of the week, afternoon, morning? Not the particular date, but give him some idea of what y'all want time-wise, and he would send out some possible dates.
I had somebody already mention Wednesday was not a good day,
Wednesday is a bad day?
so maybe a Monday or a Tuesday.
Okay. We'll relay that to him.
You're out Monday and Tuesday? Is there a Thursday?
Every Monday and Tuesday, you're out?
Well,
I'm just,
other obligations. You'll have to explain other days.
All right, let's try a Thursday then. All right, thank you. We appreciate it. Motion to adjourn. Thank you all.